Hi, welcome. Today we are going to solve trigonometric functions, and the equation that I will be working on is f of theta equals 4 cosine 3 parentheses theta minus pi over 3 parentheses negative 1. So this is the equation, as you can see, and we're going to find the period, the amplitude, the maximum value, and the minimum value. So first, we could right away figure out the period and the amplitude. Now the amplitude is 4 because it's always going to be the first number in front of the cosine. So if there is no number there, then it would just be 1. But it will always be, that'll always be the amplitude. Now for the period, we're going to, theta is basically the same thing as pi. It's a substitute for it. So we're going to distribute this number across to both of these. So it would be 3 theta minus 3 pi over 3. So this would simplify to pi. And this right here would simplify to 2 pi over 3 because the natural pi of cosine and sine is 2 pi. And for tangent, it's just pi. So it would be 2 pi over 3 theta. And so that's what we're right here. So 2 pi over 3. And the amplitude is 4. And now, to figure out the max and the min, it's pretty simple. It's pretty much going off the amplitude. And notice that there's this last number right here is the negative 1. So that basically means that the graph is going to shift down 1 on the vertical axis. And it's only down 1 on the vertical axis, nothing else. So it's basically going to be, so for the max, instead of being positive 4, negative 4, now it's going to be positive 3, negative 5. So then those are the new coordinates. So the max is now 3. And the minimum value is now negative 5 because of that vertical shift downward. And now, to graph this, it's not too difficult. Basically, we're just going to go over our periods are going to be pi over 2. So I'll demonstrate it for you right here. So this is our graph right here. So that's pretty much how we laid it out. So it's on the top it's 1, 2, 3, 4. On the bottom it's negative 1 through negative 6. Both sides I laid it out in periods of pi over 2. So to this side it's pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. And then it's negative pi over 2, negative pi, negative 3 pi over 2, and negative 2 pi. And now, so since this right here, this number right here, is negative pi over 3, that means that the graph is going to shift to the right pi over 3 because it's negative. So whenever there's a number in here, if it's positive, it's going to shift to the left. If it's negative, it's going to shift to the right. So it's always the opposite of what the sign is. So instead of starting for cosine, instead of starting up here on 3, our phase shift, with the phase shift now, it's going to start at pi over 3. So it starts at pi over 3. And it just goes down to the next one. So pretty much your graph is going to look like this. It's going to start from the top, go down, and back up. Now if this was a cosine, it would start here and work its way downward and like this. But since it's cosine, it starts at the top. That's one of the ways you could distinguish between a cosine and a sine graph. And now, so that's pretty much how you lay this out. The phase shift was pi over 3, and that's pretty much how you just keep it going. It can be confusing, but if you just follow these signs, I mean, there's no way to get lost. It's pretty much everything right here indicates which way you move up, if you move up or down, how wide it's going to be, what should be your max number, what should be your minimum, whether it's going to move to the left or to the right, how wide the intervals will be. And it's not too bad. I mean, it just takes practice to list out everything. Alright, thank you.